Hey everybody, Frank from Aborigine Reptiles back with another video. Sorry it's been a few weeks since we posted last. Been a little crazy here with the breeding season in full swing. So I wanted to do a top 10 do's and don'ts of reptile keeping. A lot of lists out there that you see, I'm sure, on YouTube. But I want to take a few seconds just to throw my head in the ring and talk about a couple of things that have worked well for me and a few things that I haven't. Use my experience to kind of help you as a new reptile keeper or maybe a seasoned one. So hopefully you'll pick up something from this. So let's get started. Top number 1 of their top 10. This is one of our little baby Rankin's dragons, by the way. This is thing 1. Thing 2 is asleep in her cage. But with that, talking about tip number 1, do try other reptiles. I think it's really easy to get caught in what's popular, what's easy to find out on the internet at the reptile shows. I've talked about this in past videos. Ball pythons, crested geckos, leechies, bearded dragons, they're everywhere. Leopard geckos, and they all do make great pets. But try something different. So do try different animals. Don't get stuck in just the rut and doing what everything's popular. Those animals do make great reptile pets, but they also have their shortcomings. So Rankin's dragon's a great example. Cost a little bit more than a regular bearded dragon, but much smaller. And this is not a full size, by the way. They get about 2 to 3 times the size. But because of that, they don't eat as much. They don't make as much of a mess, and they don't take up as much space, but they get all the personality and the ease of care of a bearded dragon. So this is just one example. I've given tons of examples in the past in terms of what's a better snake out there than a ball python, other lizards that are available. And I think I'm going to do a whole video on Australian reptiles that are a good substitute for other reptiles. So that's tip number 1. Do try something different. Don't get stuck on what's popular for everybody. Okay, number 2 is where are you getting your feeder rodents from? So if you are a snake keeper, someone who does have snakes and enjoys them, this is one of our upcoming breeding Cape York spotted python males. He'll be ready in another year or so to breed. Where do you get your frozen rodents or chicks or any type of frozen feeders from? Don't feel like you have to go online. Go to a pet store, a local pet store, and spend a lot of money. So when you order rodents in bulk online, it can save you a little bit of money, but shipping usually will kill you. If you go to a big box pet store or even a local pet store, you could also probably get hit pretty good for per rodent price. So don't feel like you have to go those places. Do look at Facebook groups, local Facebook groups, other reptile groups on social media, networks, various expos. You'll be amazed at how many people locally breed rodents, chicks, quails, different types of feeder animals, and they usually are much cheaper. They're much better in terms of quality control because they're small batch typically. So the local breeder really puts the time and effort in to make sure that the animals are well cared for and have some good quality nutrition and just pass that along to you and your animals. So by doing that, you can support local. You can also save yourself a ton of money in terms of shipping if they're somewhat local that you could drive and pick those animals up. And usually they're much more flexible in terms of quantity. Some of us just don't need 200-300 rats at a time. You might only have a couple of snakes. So they're very flexible in terms of the amount you can buy. So again, don't feel like you have to buy from the big breeders online for frozen delivery or at your local pet shop. But do consider finding different methods of local rodent and livestock breeders. Alright guys, number 3 is about gut loading. I've done a whole video just on gut loading and how important it is, but it comes down to the quality of what you're putting into your feeder animals. So do make sure you are putting the best quality nutrition into your animals, whether you're making your own gut load, which I have some great recipes on previous videos. So fruits, veggies, grains, high quality nutrition going in, because you will definitely see the difference in your animals because that nutrition is going to feed right into your animals. But don't feel like you should go to the pet store and buy the commercial grade gut loads. Those are typically just corn, soy, garbage. Read the ingredients. They're usually, think of it as like the dog and cat food that you see out there nowadays. There's lots of stuff that's high grain content. It's got artificial preservatives and flavors and all of that. And now you can get a high quality, meat is the first ingredient type of dog and cat food. Same thing goes for your gut load. Make sure you're using everything that's in the ingredients. You know what it is. Again, I have a great recipe in one of my other videos. Just search up gut load for Aborigine reptiles. I'll put the link below in this one. But yeah, number one most important thing out there, and my number 3 tip is to make sure you're giving your animals and gut loading your feeder insects, whether you buy them at a pet store or you buy them in bulk or breed them yourself. Don't feel like you have to go buy the junky commercial stuff that you see on the shelves. All right, guys, number 4, this is something I've covered in past videos. It's about getting your reptile. Always, always, always support local captive bred when possible, or captive bred online. Don't buy wild caught animals from big box stores, from expos, from brokers, from online. So understand what you're buying and know what it is. Always buy captive bred whenever possible. The only exception in buying wild caught is if you are an experienced keeper who is looking to really establish a newer species or a rare species to help start a breeding colony to produce captive bred animals. But again, that is for a experienced keeper only. There is no reason to purchase wild caught animals that have been taken out of the wild, that has an economical and ecological impact on their environment. They don't typically live that long. They're stressed. They have a high parasite load, and if you're new to reptile keeping, it's going to be a bad experience for everybody. So whenever possible, know your source. Ask if they're captive bred, and if they're not, don't buy them. It doesn't matter if you go online to any of the forums or any of the markets, or you're at your local reptile expo, or if you go to your local reptile shop or pet shop, ask if they're captive bred. If they don't know or they say no, leave it. You can always find a captive bred version of most reptiles. So don't buy wild caught from anyone. Do always buy captive bred from local breeders or experienced keepers. All right, guys, number 5 comes down to making sure you understand the quality of the reptile products you're buying. I use this analogy in terms of lighting. So you could go online and probably find something on Amazon for, say, mercury vapor bulbs. You can find them for like $15, $20 on Amazon. But the reality is the quality of those bulbs are not that great. I've used them myself. I've seen tons of reviews. Some don't ever light, some break, some are dangerous, some can cause fires. For double that, you're going to get a higher quality bulb. There's a lot of different bulbs I recommend. The Arcadia is the number 1 that I would recommend. It does cost a little bit more, but it lasts forever, and it has high output UVB. There are some other ones, Mega Ray's another really high quality bulb out there that you can find. But don't always equate the fact that, I'm going to find something really, really good because it's really, really expensive too. So it's a double-edged sword. You can spend the money when it makes sense on a certain type of product, like lighting, where you don't want to skimp. But when it comes to other products, such as substrates, cage furnishings, things of that nature, they're typically a cheaper version that you can find locally. So you don't have to order online or go to your reptile store or big box pet store. Things like sand. We've talked about substrates in the last video. That goes into some of the places you can find more affordable substrates on the market. You can talk about things such as rocks, cave furnishings, driftwood. I have never paid for any of the driftwood or any of the branches in any of my cages. I go out and I forage around different state parks and things of that nature. Driftwood, anything that washes up on shore, take it, sanitize it, use it. Same thing goes for rocks. Whenever I can, I find local rocks that are really nice. Or if you go to your garden supply stores, they typically sell the rocks in big bulk, and you can usually buy them individually for like $4 or $5 instead of paying 20, 30, 40 plus for smaller versions of it. So do make sure to do your homework and not skimp when it comes to things like lighting and supplementation, but also don't feel like you have to spend all of that money on reptile specific products when it comes to things like substrates and cage furnishings. All right, guys, so I know I said we're going to do a top 10, but I'm teasing you a little bit. So I did 5 today. We'll do 5 more next week. So if you like this video, make sure to click like and subscribe. Also leave your comments, reach out with any questions you may have. I will put those links below of some of the products that I talked about in this video, as well as some links to our previous video so you can check it out. Thanks again, and we'll see you again very soon.